Just going to talk about supply issues, what I see going on in the fertilizer markets, crop protection stuff going into 25. So let's go with the easy one first. Let's go to crop protection products. You guys know a couple years ago there was really a hard time getting some crop protection products, your Liberties and stuff like that. I see going into 25 no serious hiccups unless we hit another COVID. I think we are actually in pretty good shape on crop protection products where we're at. Now let's talk fertilizer. That was the quick one. Fertilizer is a little different. We all know what commodity prices are and where stuff has gone, and it's definitely taken a turn since we started planting where we're at. Fertilizer is trying to figure out where its footing is at. Let's start with nitrogen. I think supply of nitrogen is in actually pretty good shape with stuff. The only thing that is playing into that is the number one place we used to get ammonia from was Russia. The main way we got that was there was a pipeline that goes right through from Russia to the sea, and that has been completely shut down. So that's about 20% of the nitrogen market, ammonia market right there that ran through there that is being shut down. I think that's why you're seeing some of the tightness, but I think supplies will be there. If you actually look, you know, there's always been a difference between UAN and ammonia prices. Some of that stuff has actually gotten tighter, where UAN is playing more into the the ammonia market on price on stuff. Potash, it all depends on one issue. I think the supply of potash is at the retail level, but just for you guys that farm, retailers are turning those bins 2 or 3 times. The biggest issue that we're watching, and we got good news last week, but we don't know how long that's going to last, is 90% of the potash in the state of Illinois, but plus the Midwest, is coming out of Canada. If there is a rail strike or a threat of a rail strike, that is going to play into it. I think the potash market is in pretty decent shape where it's going to be at. I think guys have bought in. The only reason we see a difficulty is that later on in the season. If you haven't booked some potash now and we do have a rail strike, that's where I think the price plays into stuff right now. So I think we're in pretty good shape where it is at on the potash market. Phosphates is the ugly one. Phosphates are really playing right now, and it's where the price is at. It is pretty high. Other thing that's going on with the phosphate market is China is one of the largest producers of phosphates in the world. They usually export to the United States about 10 million tons of phosphates on an average, a 5-year average. They're going to pull that back to either 6 or 5 million tons of to phosphates. Just because they are using, I didn't know if many people know this, phosphates are used in the production of lithium batteries for their car market. And they are seeing that grow, and that is taking a higher demand from them and paying a higher cost for those phosphates. I think that's why you see some of the highness in the phosphate market. The other thing that's playing into that is India buys a lot of phosphates from China and across the world for their market, and they have hardly bought into it. So I think that is going to be the roughest go, is on the phosphate markets. I also say I think retailers, when usually they are starting to buy in June, July, and August, usually July, they kind of stayed away on some of the phosphate markets just because of some of the higher prices, and they're kind of seeing what it is. So I think it's a wait and see attitude on the phosphate market. I think you could go to some people and say, hey, give me a price on all 3 products, and you might get 2 of those 3 products, because the third one, the phosphates, maybe not a price everybody's going to like to see. I think there's definitely going to be a pullback on some of those dry fertilizers. I think we're going to go into a later season. I think with commodity prices rather than halfway through the season, a farmer tell the retailer, hey, just start putting it on. I think he's going to push it back till later and say, let me see what my whole crop looks like, and then my uptake of what crop I took off, and then we'll take a see. I think the season's going to go drag further out into that. So that's kind of my outlook on what fertilizer prices are looking like. Again, I think there's some value in some nitrogen stuff right now. phosphates is going to be, again, a rough go of stuff. I always get the question, I'll just get it out of the way. Dicamba, what's it look like for 2025? I think it is a coin flip if we have dicamba for post-application in soybeans next year. All three registrants, Bayer, Corteva, and Syngenta have asked for that label. I would tell you Bayer has asked only for pretty much. Syngenta and BAS have asked for post. But once those guys put that into EPA, EPA has 17 months to approve that registration. How that looks right now, that would be already going into July. I'd love to say EPA is going to push that through, but I think they're going to sit on it. I think we are not, if we're hoping for a October, November, December time frame to get that out of approval, I think we're lying to ourselves. I don't think if we even get it, we're not going to see it until late spring. So I think that's going to, I farm in Champaign-Vermilion County. That's going to dictate what your seeding, what kind of take you do on what seed you're going to buy for next year. But I just get it out of the way. Also, I want to talk a couple things on Springfield, Washington, D.C. You guys, it's all tied to election. Kind of the same thing with Springfield, but Farm Bill, it is what it is. I'm probably not going to get Farm Bill to the end. What I tell you guys, though, watching Springfield, there was a lot of anti-pesticide legislation last year. We're going to go into fall veto session just watching for some of that stuff come out. But I will tell you, there was legislation to ban dicamba, ban 2,4-D, ester, make everything a restricted use product. Keep a watch on Springfield. We always like to focus on the national politics, but look at some of those stuff. The other thing that was actually proposed, did not move, and Dan and some of my staff can't answer this. Anybody know what pesticide preemption is? One person. Guys, that is the most important thing you guys have on crop protection products that you have no idea. That means the state of Illinois, Department of Ag, regulates those. The city of Decatur can't say we're going to ban Roundup or 2,4-D, or Champaign County can't say it. It's up to the Illinois Director of Ag, Jerry Costello. He's been very good to us. That would be the worst thing that happens if we lose that. So just watch, listen, watch from IFCA, Soybean Association, or any of your commodity groups if some of the legislation puts out there. Two last things, and I'll close, and we'll let you guys get to food. Herbicide strategy. How many of you guys have heard about the herbicide strategy? How many wish they never heard about the herbicide strategy? EPA just put that out. Our staff, Darren is on our board. We're going to go meet with EPA in September, talk about this. We're still trying to get a good handle what that means for retailers and farmers. Herbicide strategy is all about the Endangered Species Act. If you guys have sprayed dicamba post, how many of you guys heard about the setbacks and all that? That's all about an Endangered Species Act. I will tell you, I say this to everyone, EPA is doing this herbicide strategy, and they just released an insecticide strategy. They're not doing backflips over there to do this. They are getting forced by the courts. They've been sued to do this. So it gets very deep very quickly, and we're trying to get it dumbed down so we can talk to everybody in 5 minutes and kind of explain that. It has not been that easy to do. There's a lot of stuff that plays into the Endangered Species Act. So again, watch for stuff from IFCA, Soybean Association, and other commodity groups about the herbicide strategy, because I do think this is something, if I was 5 years from talking now, everybody's going to say, yeah, I know about the Endangered Species Act. So we'll keep you guys informed on that. Last thing, leave on a good note on what we're going to try and do. How many of you guys have your applicator license here in the state of Illinois, pesticide applicator license? Okay, good part of you guys. How many of you guys love taking that test? Anybody? Marie, you don't count. IFCA is going to make a major push with the commodity groups this year on doing continuous education on pesticide licensing. What that would mean is you could still take the test. You're going to have to take the test the first go around no matter what, okay, to pass the test. But going forward after that, you can go take the test like you always done, or you can go to something like this and get hours to go to continuous education. That'd probably be 5 to 7 hours a year. But then after 3 years, if you keep those hours up, you don't have to take that test every 3 years. I think the industry, especially ag retail world, in 5 years after it's implemented, 70 to 80% of the people will take continuous education classes rather than that test. I know people fret about that test, get nervous about that test, everything, but that is going to be a major push by IFCA and the commodity groups to help get done here this spring session. That it has to be legislatively, so we're going to be working with legislators, the Department of Ag, we're working with them to do that this coming spring. So we're excited about that, and then some other stuff that we're working on at IFCA, but that's one of the big pushes that we're going to make for the 25 season. I know we're right up against lunch. Any questions? Again, thank you. I'm going to turn it to Abigail, how we're going to do the food line and who goes first. But thank you again for everything, and I appreciate it. And everybody have a safe and profitable fall.
Thank you.